Hey, I want to show you something. Look right here in the water. You see all that green stuff right there, that good looking green vegetation? A lot of largemouth bass love to swim around that stuff. Coming up in the next half hour, we're going to explain to you why they love it and how you can catch them. I love grass bed fishing. We're going to do a lot of it coming up. This is Fox Sports Outdoors.
It's time now for your weekly fishing reports and real-time outdoor news from the Southeast region. This is Fox Sports Outdoors.
As I've traveled all around the United States and fished for a living for almost 40 years, there's one style of fishing that is as consistent to locate and catch largemouth bass as any other. It's grass bed fishing, aquatic vegetation. It comes in all shapes and sizes and varieties, from milfoil to hydrilla to pondweed. Some call it duckweed, reeds, cattails, lots of different kinds of aquatic vegetation. On today's show, we are going to talk about some of the subtleties, some of the technique involved in finding largemouth bass living around these magnets called grass beds that pull them in. Talk about why they're there, how you can make some of them bite. To help us do that, I'd like to welcome you into one of my favorite lakes in Central Texas. This is Lake LBJ, Lyndon B. Johnson. This lake, as you can see here in the background, it's got lots of boat docks and lots of shoreline cover. We're staying off of that today. We're going out in the main part of the lake, finding these grass beds and showing you how to catch some of your very own in your favorite lake where you live. While we're doing that, we're taking you around the region for this week's fishing reports from our expert team of insider reporters with the latest for your favorite lakes, rivers, and bays. So right now, the Nitro Z8 gets launched into LBJ, and we take you back to the FSN studios to get it started with your weekend plan.
Hello everyone, let's take a look at the projected game fish activity for the weekend. The Solunar tables are listing fair action for both days, with peak morning hours starting before sunrise. Expect the best afternoon conditions to begin at 5:22 on Saturday and 5:15 on Sunday. Also, keep in mind that daylight savings time ends early Sunday morning, so remember to set your clocks back 1 hour. The sun will rise at 7:44 and set at 6:37 on Saturday, while Sunday's sunrise will take place at 6:45 with sunset happening at 5:36. And evenings will feature a moon that is 78% visible. Stay with us, fishing updates from around our region are on the way. And I'll return with Edwin Evers on this week's Ask the Pro.
Fox Sports Outdoors is brought to you by Tracker Boats. It's more than just a boat, it's a tracker. By Costa Sunglasses, see what's out there. By Mercury Marine, official outboard of Fox Sports Outdoors. And by Lowrance Electronics. Find, navigate, dominate.
He's got it on the edge of this grass. Got him. Coming this way. Good fish. All right. Okay, we have got something started right here. Welcome back, everybody. We've got the Nitro Z8 launched, and right off the bat, we have the lens splattered. So watch what happens here. We're gonna show you this fish. We're gonna let it go back. And then through the magic of television, watch this. And just like that, hey, clean lens. Let's talk about grass. Now, right here behind me, as you can see, we've got a bunch of grass floating on top of the water. This is a big grass bed out in open water, out basically in the middle of the lake, and it's got deep water all the way around it. Hey, why are these fish attracted to grass so much, aquatic vegetation? 3 reasons that I can think of. Number 1, shade. Sun's up high. They love to get somewhere back in that shade, and the grass provides that. Secondly, cover. They love to be somewhere where they can ambush prey, and they like to get right up against the edges of that grass. And thirdly, oxygen. Bass are attracted to that vegetation because it's constantly putting off a supply of oxygen in the water. 3 good reasons why these bass are here. We're going to talk about how to catch them out of it. That one hit little plastic worm, Texas rigged, right off the outside edge of the grass bed. Right now, though, let's get things all started with some fishing and lake reports from where you live.
Hey guys, welcome to this week's Tennessee and Kentucky Fishing Report. You know, we're in fall. We're in the middle of the fall season, and the fishing is really good. Now, with fall, you got to understand that weather patterns dictate fishing patterns. So fishing's going to peak and kind of ebb and flow a little bit. Last week, I spent the week on Lake Cumberland over in Somerset, Kentucky. The lake fishes to like 2 totally different lakes, but it's a place you would want to go right now, and it's going to be even better from here to winter. The lower end of the lake's really clear. The big smallmouth bite really good down there in the big spots. The upper end of the lake's got a lot of watercolor. The water's ranging from the high 60s to low 70 degrees, just depending on how cool the night before is. This time of year, no matter where you go, also take into account fog. The cooler the nights get, the water temperature really plays a big role in how much fog you have. Kentucky Lake, I've been crappie fishing lately. I don't know if you can see it here behind me, but there's some stake beds, and that's kind of my thing. This time of year, I find stake beds next to drop-offs, sitting in anywhere from 4 to 8 feet of water, and I throw a piece of plastic on a jig head under a cork and just kind of work it through the bed, and those big crappie are really starting to move up. Kentucky Lake right now, the water's also in the mid 60s. So here's the thing, guys. Fall fishing is a lot of fun. The foliage is beautiful, the weather's beautiful, and the fish are really biting. We'd love to see you on the water in Tennessee and Kentucky. God bless.
Down in that grass. Come aboard, buddy. Oh, he's wild. Let me explain. Just a little healthy chunk right there. Let me give you a little explanation of what's happening here. We are on top of a big, thick grass bed. It's in about 10 or 12 feet of water, but the grass grows all the way up to the surface. Now, here's the deal. That's a Jean LaRue 3-legged frog, and I was gonna throw it across the tops of these grass beds, and you can catch them that way, but it's gotta be early. Once the sun gets up bright and high overhead like it is right now, these fish will start burying up in that grass. So what I'm doing is I'm using a big, heavy-headed jig head. That's a big football jig, a jig head actually, and it's got a Jean LaRue biffle bug on the back of it. And I'm just going down through these grass beds, and I'm underhanded flipping and pitching to the little holes that I see in the bed. So you flip it out there in a little dark hole, you let it go to the bottom, give it a couple of little hops like that. If one doesn't bite it, quickly you reel it back in, get it through the grass. See, here's some of that hydrilla right there. Find you another little hole, you look around with your glasses, let it go to the bottom, a couple of good hops. Once there, he ought to bite it real quick. Got one down in the grass. Come out of that grass. Oh, he's buried up in it. There he comes. All right, there's a fish. Welcome back, everybody. Long, skinny chunk right there. Just an LBJ bass, and I want to show you something. Let him go back in that grass. I want to pan the camera right down here, and I want to show you how thick this grass is right there. What I want to explain to you is this. When you go to a lake that's got a lot of grass in it like this one, how do you find the grass? Two main ways that I find them. First of all, I look on my topo map, on my chart, on my Lowrance unit there, and I look for high spots. Typically, this grass, this hydrilla particularly, and milfoil and other types of aquatic vegetation grow on tops of ridges, humps, points, anything that comes up shallow. So you're looking for water 8 to 12 feet deep, typically, is about the range you want to look in. Now, here's the other dead giveaway. Right behind us, there are a bunch of coots that are sitting on the water and diving down. These creatures feed on aquatic vegetation. Chances are there's going to be hydrilla, milfoil, coontail, some kind of aquatic vegetation right underneath them. They sit on top of it, dive down, and feed on it. Look for the coots. You're going to find the hydrilla, one of my best secrets. All right, time now for more fishing and lake reports for you.
Hey folks, Captain E here with your Carolinas report. This week brought to you by Marshall's Marine, located in Lake City at Georgetown, South Carolina. We're your bass boat leader since 1969. For all your nitro and bass tracker needs, visit www.marshallsmarine.com. I'll tell you what, I want to talk about oysters. Make sure you get out and harvest your limit of oysters. It's that time of the year. The water temperatures are cooling. That bacteria is gone. You can get some great oysters here in the Carolinas. Sitting right now on a little area in Murrells Inlet where we re-nourished the inlet to bring back some great oysters, as well as this is a habitat that our fish need also. Speaking of fish, the speckled trout bite in the Carolinas right now is incredible. Get out early in the mornings for that topwater bite, or throw a voodoo shrimp or a DOA, mirror lures. There's so many different ways to target these fish. Get out with a popping cork with live bait or with an artificial under it. Also, adjustable depth corks work great if you've got an area where you're trying to locate the fish. Set up, float those adjustable depth corks a long distance. Find the fish, then move to them and start casting artificials. Also, the king mackerel bite and Spanish mackerel bite continue to be incredible. It's that time of the year, the mullet are still making that run. We've got some incredible menhaden schools that are moving along the beach now. There's a lot of big fish to be caught this time of the year. Get out with some great live bait. You'll have a wonderful time on those live bottoms and on the areas just off the beach where those fish are going to be concentrated. Also, the offshore wahoo fishery is incredible this time of the year. Find a good day and get out there. Again, it's always one of those deals. You find the bait, you're going to find the fish when you're out there fishing on those ledges and breaks in that 200 to 350 foot of water that's located just out there on the edge of the Gulf Stream. This has been your Carolinas Report, brought to you by Marshall's Marine. Fish smarter, not harder, and keep your chaos organized.
Got him. Oh, he's around something. Come loose. That's a tree or something. Let's see. He came loose. How about that? Came loose. Let's see what I got. Decent fish. That's a fat one right there. How about that one? All right. We got a chunk for you. Little plastic worm, Texas rigged. Drift by the shadow here and just give you a good shot. That one's actually got a belly on him. That's the first one. We've caught several fish today, but that's the first one that's actually got a little belly on it right there. All right, that fish goes back. And before we go to this next break, I want to mention to you about some of these grass bed edges. You know, edges are real key when you're fishing grass beds. So, two basic ways to fish them. First of all, you want to find those grass beds that slope off, taper off, get real scattered, and have little clumps of grass. I'll show you what some of that looks like on my Lowrance HDS Gen 3 unit right here. Then the other kind that you want to fish are the kinds that have a hard edge. So they'll grow out to a certain depth and then drop straight off, and there will be no grass past that. So you've got to be real careful, stay right on that edge, pitch over and over right along it. Two ways to catch them on grass bed edges. Stay with us, we'll be right back.
Fox Sports Outdoors is brought to you by Academy Sports and Outdoors. Right stuff, low price, every day. By Luz, setting a new standard of fishing performance. Feel the difference. By Gene LaRue and Bobby Garland Lures. With our baits, a good day of fishing is in the bag. And by Stren Fishing Lines, the standard of dependability.
This one's got it. Got my little grub. Got him, got him. Come up here, partner. All right, that's a good little chunk. Hey, well, everything has changed now. There's a good bass for you right there. Let him go back. Away you go, buddy. And we have moved, as you can see. We're still out in the middle of the lake. But early in the mornings, when those fish are up on those grass beds, you can catch them the two ways we talked about earlier. Looking at the grass with your eyes, not your naked eyes, with your polarized sunglasses on. I've got my Costas on here. As you can see now, the sun is straight up overhead. It is very bright out here, and these fish are going to tend to get finicky and go deeper. So what we've done now is move to the outside edge of the grass beds. Now you can't see these with your eyes. You have to see them with your electronics. So I'll show you a quick shot here of my Lowrance HDS Gen 3 unit, and you can see that we're on the outside edge of a grass bed. You can see all this grass right in here up shallow, up in 8, 10, 12 feet of water, and then it drops off the outside edge. So these fish will tend to migrate down deeper, and they'll relate to that edge running up and down the edge of the grass bed, and that's what they'll use as an ambush point to feed on prey, shad mainly, swimming by. So, sun gets high overhead, move deeper, Gone to finesse tackle, spinning rod, light line, 8-pound test, and I'll show you the little grub a little bit later. That'll work once they get finicky. Let's get you some more fishing and lake reports from your local area.
This portion of the show is brought to you by the state of Mississippi, where fishing fun is year-round and where the Mississippi Gulf Coast offers some of the best inshore angling and offshore adventures anywhere in the world. So start your fishing adventure in the true South, Mississippi. Hi everybody, fishing along the coast has been great this last week or so. In Georgia, Captain Tim Cutting on St. Simon's Island has been really hammering the bull redfish. They had one day recently where we had 14 bulls up to 40 pounds. He's catching those fish in deep holes down to 25 feet using cut baits like mullet, sometimes menhaden. He also says that trout fishing has been very good when he's float fishing with live shrimp, working at 2 to 8 foot of water area. He's also catching plenty of small redfish inside. Fish up to 18 inches are taking jigs with gulp or shrimp. He's working shell bars during low tide stages. Well offshore, coast of Georgia, out in 120 to 180 feet of water, the sailfish are on the move, moving from north to south, and anglers trolling out there can catch sailfish these days. In Mississippi and Alabama, the weather's been rough and windy at times, but the sight fishing on the inshore areas around the marsh regions, around Bay St. Louis, and over in the Biloxi Marsh have been just great. Catching lots of fish on jigs with gulp, jigs with shrimp, and spinnerbaits are working real well too. Captain Sonny Schindler in Bay St. Louis, Mississippi is doing very well on school white trout and mixed in with speckled trout. He's also catching black drum and sheep's head. Well, that's it for the Coastal South. Get out in the water and take a youngster with you when you go.
This week's Freshwater Report is brought to you by the Tuckasegee Fly Shop in Bryson City, North Carolina. Your gateway to angling in the Great Smoky Mountains and offering float trips for trout on the Tuckasegee and Nantahala rivers. www.tuckflyshop.com. Now, as we approach Halloween, freshwater anglers in Alabama, Georgia, and Mississippi need only be afraid of missing out on some great fishing that's available. Mississippi bass anglers should be targeting largemouths on Lake Bogue-Hona, which is just east of the town of Laurel. This 882-acre impoundment has lots of cypress trees and stumps and also aquatic vegetation. It's also noted for giving up a lot of 7 to 9 pound largemouths. The best action is around those cypress trees that are close to the old, small, flooded creek channels in the lake. Good colors to throw are black or blue, and the best bait is going to be a jig head with a crawfish trailer. In southwest Georgia, the channel catfish are biting on lakes Blackshear and Seminole on the Flint River. Best places to be fishing are the shallow flats along the flooded creek and river channels. Worms or commercial baits are the ticket for catching these fish. In South Alabama, eating-sized flathead catfish are being caught on the Kanika River. You want to use a small brim for bait and fish those deep holes in the bends of the river for the most bites.
Fox Sports Outdoors is brought to you by Exide AGM Marine Batteries. Starts like new, stays like new longer. By Motor Guide Trolling Motors, introducing the XI5 for ultimate boat control. And by Nitro Performance Fishing Boats. Champions aren't born, they're made.
Welcome back, everyone. Let's get right to your Ask the Pro question for this week. Joe wants to know, how can I teach my wife how to fish? For the answer, we checked with Bassmaster Elite Angler Edwin Evers.
My tip to teach your wife or your girlfriend is important. Weather. You better pick the prettiest, best, non-windy day there is. It better not be practice for a tournament, that's like way off limits. And you better catch something, and you better catch something quickly. You better take them crappie fishing, sand bass fishing, bluegill fishing, take them when the bass are spawning and it's a pretty day. You know, make sure that you've got fish found. Make it fun for them. Take food, drinks, kids, let them go swimming off the back of the boat, whatever it may be, but the weather's a big key there, guys.
Thank you, Edwin. If you'd like some help from one of the pros, simply go to foxsportsoutdoors.com and follow the Ask the Pro link to submit your question. Now it's time for someone to win a new pair of sunglasses on the Costa Catch of the Week.
This week's winner in the Costa Catch of the Week contest is Jay Hancock of Picayune, Mississippi, and he is showing a giant 17-pound triple tail he caught at Lake Bourne, Louisiana. If you'd like to have a chance to be our next winner, all you have to do is go to the website at foxsportsoutdoors.com, click in the Costa Catch of the Week box, send us your photo, and you could be our next winner. And you can see all of the Costa products at their website by going back to the front page and clicking on the Costa logo. So there you'll see all of their frame styles, fantastic lenses, including the pair of sunglasses I was wearing on this week's episode. These frames are called Switchfoot. Next up on the Academy Right Stuff feature, it's the right gear to catch largemouth bass in grass beds where you live. And beginning on the top left, it's a Jean LaRue three-legged frog. It's a topwater bait to swim across the tops of those grass beds early and late. Top middle is a spinnerbait. You roll that just under the surface over the tops of the beds. Top right is a lipless rattling crankbait that'll run 3 or 4 feet deep along the outside edges of the grass. Lower left is a Jean LaRue tattletale worm. That is to fish on the outside edges, Texas rig. And then lower right is a big 1-ounce rubber-legged football jig with a Jean LaRue biffle bug on the back of that, and that is to punch through the grass like you saw us doing earlier today. Just the other day I was driving in traffic when a pickup truck blew by me on the right-hand side in his lane, doing about 85 or 90 miles an hour. DPS officer happened to be on the spot, pulled him over, and basically ruined the rest of his day. Certainly made him a little bit lighter in the wallet and made him later than he already was. It made me stop and ask the question, why is everyone in such a hurry? It seems like no matter where I go, in the store, in traffic, in line, everyone seems to be impatient and in a big hurry. Here's a question for you. What would happen if we all slowed down just a little bit, took a little more time? I have a feeling that all of us would feel a little less stressed and have a little more time to interact with the people around us. In order to do that, we would have to stop and on purpose clear our calendars a little bit, schedule a little extra time, and then slow down and take our time on purpose. It would be something like the Mac Davis song back in 1964 called Stop and Smell the Roses. We'd all have time to do that just a little bit more. Hey, don't forget to join us for next week's episode. We'll be on in our normal time slot at 6 p.m. Thursday with the repeat airing Sunday at 8:30 a.m. And you can always catch the latest episode of the show 24/7 right on the front page of the website at foxsportsoutdoors.com. Right below that, you can click on the archives and see all of our past episodes from the rest of this season and even back to the last couple of years. You can see all of our preview clips and lots of product and how-to videos if you click on that how-to link as well. And don't forget to follow us on Twitter. Our Twitter address on your screen there, it's basically Fox_Outdoors. And like us on our Facebook page for lots of fishing news, videos, photos, and information that we don't have time for here on the television show. From Lake LBJ in Central Texas near Austin, until next week, I'm Barry Stokes saying be safe, have fun. Bye-bye, y'all.